And welcome back to another episode of Civil Discord, your weekly dose of radical curiosity. I am one of your hosts. Again, out here in the People's Republic of Texas, getting ready to move, change locations, just only right down the block. But yes, I am the notorious BLG, aka Maurice, and with me, again, more often than I am, is the Supreme Overlord of Liberty, out there in the People's Republic of California, where they've had a heat wave and they're coming back into the regular cycle of things, is Amanda. Amanda, how's it going out there?
It's going well, still groundbreaking, still fantastic. How are you doing?
Still groundbreaking. That is it. Oh, I'm just out here living the dream. For those of you who have not noticed, I mean, and not like you pay attention to the things that happens in my background anyway, but this window behind me no longer has any curtains. This is typically where I iron and things of that nature, but this whole room is almost completely 100% bare outside of the desk that I'm operating on and the monitors that are sitting in front of me, because as I said before, I am getting ready to move, which is great. My wife is excited. I'm excited, even though the home buying process has been horrible. Absolutely cannot stand it. I told my wife this will probably be the first and last home that I buy, but nonetheless, we are excited. For me, honestly, moving is the best part of all this because I actually enjoy moving. I enjoy the packing. I enjoy getting ready and preparing for things because it's great. And then I enjoy the unpacking aspect of it. I moved around all my life, so I'm used to it, but it is what it is. So, but she is going to enjoy it because she doesn't have to lift a finger because she's pregnant. Exactly. She's like, you just put this over there. You just put that over there and whatnot. So we are 100% absolutely excited for all that. It is going to be a great thing going on. This has been a great year for the Jones household. I'm not going to lie. New car, new house, baby on the way. Like everything is great. Everything is great. God has been doing great things in our lives. So I cannot complain. I can't complain. You want to know what else I can't complain about? I cannot complain about wearing a mask on an airline.
You can't anymore. You used to be able to. You can't anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I have been living under a rock, but even outside of that, I've known that that recently a Trump appointed judge, I believe, has lifted this federal mask mandate for the airlines, and which typically applies to everybody else. That's how everybody has been viewing this. Because I know, like the Ubers and the Lyfts and things of that nature, most of their transportation have gotten rid of their mask as far as all that stuff. At least here locally. I mean, I don't take Uber and Lyft, but I've seen it here locally. Like no more masks, and I've seen people talk about on TikDoxxed of the world that this federal judge has deemed this mask mandate to not be lawful because it's not lawful, because there was no law stating that, hey, you guys are forced to do this. Exactly.
Yeah, the decision was actually interesting. So what the judge ruled was, if you look at the ruling, the judge is saying Congress never gave this. First of all, Congress never passed this law. Secondly, Congress never gave the CDC the authority to pass this law. The CDC has limited authority to regulate transportation, usually as it pertains to cargo. So earlier, there was a regulation about not bringing turtles into the U.S. because of salmonella. And the judge said that this is grossly oversteps that. We're not talking about turtles and salmonella. We're talking about regulating the way that someone dresses, and the CDC doesn't have the remit to do that. So what's interesting is that you have a federal judge who said that unelected bureaucrats can't pass a law that they were not given the authority to pass by elected officials. And so much of the outcry that I've heard about this is an unelected appointee did what exactly? What did the unelected appointee do? The unelected appointee said that other unelected appointees couldn't pass laws that elected appointees didn't give them the authority to pass. That's what happened. And what I find so funny is this genre of complaint that I've heard, or this genre of stick it to the man, which is basically, well, in defiance of this ruling, I'm going to wear a mask anyway. That's not defying the ruling. That's actually celebrating the ruling. The ruling is you can do what you want to do. The ruling is not you are not allowed to wear a mask anymore. This is this weird fascistic tendency where you say, you know, anything that is not required is forbidden. That's not what happened. What happened is that you have the choice, and a bunch of people are like, well, I'm going to make the choice to wear a mask. Good, fine, great, mazel tov, do it. Yeah.
Kudos to you. Like, yeah, no, I saw somebody post that on Instagram, and I saw somebody make fun of him. So if you are not following, and this is not a plug for these people do not sponsor us, but Maj Toure of Black Guns Matter.
You wish Maj Toure sponsored us. Let's be real.
100%, 100%. Maj Toure is my spirit animal. Like if there is somebody who can embody everything that I am about, as far as like F around and find out mentality, and I don't give, you know, I don't give two flying flips about what you think about me and whatever I'm going to do, what I'm going to do in my life. And if you try to stop me, good luck to you. That is him. And that is 100% my spirit. I love that guy. I really do. And I love the guy. We don't agree on a whole lot. We sure don't. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. There are things that we do not agree on. We agree on a lot of things, probably mainly because he is a libertarian and he and I are very similar as far as thought process. But there are some things that he's done. I'm like, not quite sure I agree with those things. But he posted a thing about somebody saying, oh, I think it's like Rolando something. I can't remember. He's one of the Black Caucus people who people deem him as the voice of Black America when he is not. But he had posted a picture. He was getting ready to travel, and he goes, "This judge lifted this mask mandate and blah, 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 blah. And I'm appalled. And I'm just going to double mask and wear my goggles and my hat." And we're just like, good for you. You look goofy doing it. Like, don't think this is a good look. You look goofy, and people will probably make fun of you for this. But do you like the whole point of this? And this is something that we have pointed back to time and time and time again. And things that people will probably get tired that we mention it, but it's all about your specific choice. Like, if you want to wear the mask because you feel like the mask work, then wear the mask. Give people the option to do that. You cannot mandate something for somebody. I don't think you should mandate things for anybody living in a specific border when they don't have any free way of leaving without having to adhere to said rules and so forth. So that's a premise that I live off of on everything. But if the best option for all of this, we talked a little bit about last week, was what Dr. Farsi said, what Dr. Fauci said. Like, literally, let the people make their own decisions. If you do that, then everybody can live in peace and harmony as best they can. Because we are in this world of, you got people fighting for the power that is up there. You get these issues of, oh my gosh, this unelected judge sat here and changed the law for people, and unelected people should not be making laws and things of that nature. And not realizing that you're literally following a mandate, not a law, a mandate in which some unelected person put into motion. And then when you think about it, it's like, why is the CDC regulating transport? Why is the CDC focusing on that, especially when it's out of the scope of what they see? Now, I get, you could say, well, it's a health crisis and it's the CDC and blah, 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 and whatever other mental gymnastics you have to do to get to the point where you're allowing somebody who has been unelected to create laws, however that works. But nonetheless, I mean, I support the ruling, of course, in this sense. I support the ruling because they're like, hey, you had no jurisdiction, you had no authority to write a law. So here you go. Like, kick it back to the people whose job it is to actually create the law. Like, right. Either tell them to write the law themselves, or tell them to give you the power to write the law. Like it's got to go that route. If we're going to live in this constitutional republic, which Republicans and Democrats and everybody like to point out that we live in, and so forth, if we're going to live in this society, then at least follow the freaking rules. Like, my goodness.
Yeah, it's funny to me too, because now we have that the Biden administration has kicked this back to the CDC. Like, you guys need to challenge this ruling. And I really okay, fine. I really think this is going to be the way that they throw Rochelle, speaking in a personal capacity, Walensky under the bus. Because I almost feel bad, because I would much rather Fauci get thrown under the bus. And of course, he's not CDC, he's NIH. But I almost feel badly if she presents as very weak and not a little bit unhinged. But she, I think, has become the scapegoat for so much of this. And I think this is kind of an opportunity for her to, try and fight this losing battle and lose, and then be asked to step down to spend more time with her doom and gloom, which is sense of impending doom. Her sense of impending doom. She'll be asked to spend more time with that. I think that's how they do this. It's confusing to me too. It's counterintuitive to me too to think about this, but people have always said, and it's borne out, that planes are some of the most sanitary places as it relates to transmission of COVID-19 in particular.
Exactly.
And that's because the air is so hyper filtered, which because when you get on a plane, your throat gets super duper duper dry.
Yep.
And that's part of the air filtration, just like getting sucked up and filtered and coming back in. So it's not the same as even being on a bus or something, or even being on a train. Which I think, by the way, the Amtrak mask mandate is no longer in effect, but other metro and metropolitan mask mandates are, because the lawmakers have to ride the Amtraks. So the lawmakers don't want to have to deal with the masks, but they're going to make the other scuzz.
Of course.
Yeah. What do you do, Maurice, if you get on a plane and someone tries to guilt you into wearing a mask? Because this is something that people were suggesting on the news, that, just say that you've got a sick relative at home and you would appreciate if you wore a mask.
So, am I by myself, or am I traveling with a partner? Because if I'm by myself,
because now I'm interested.
So if I'm with my family and we are traveling, I would probably ignore them. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even acknowledge that they're talking to me. Now, if they come up and they tap me on the shoulder and they say, "Hey, I need you to put on a mask," and blah blah blah, I would say, "I'm sorry. I do not feel like putting on a mask. If you have a sick relative at home, while you're there with them, you can put on a mask and so forth. But I'm not going to put on a mask. Like you can't guilt me into shame me into doing things. That is, but I would say that in a very nice way. Like, hey, sorry, it's I have breathing issues and so forth. So masks are not conducive to where I am right now. So sorry. If I'm by myself and somebody tries to guilt me into wearing a mask, I'm going to we will get into one of the as libertarians like to do. We're going to have a nice little debate, and I'm going to say, "Oh, okay. So, are you going to provide me with a mask?" Well, no, you got to wear one. So, will my shirt work? Are the micron levels big enough to where they won't go through my shirt? Oh, that won't work. Okay, well, you don't have a mask for me? Oh, so what's the micron level of COVID? Okay, so do you have an N95 mask that's going for me? Oh no. Well, the droplets and stuff. Oh, am I coughing on you? I'm sorry. Okay. Am I sneezing on you? Oh no. Okay then. Well, you can kick rocks and get out of my face then with some stupid argument trying to guilt me into wearing a mask, because I'm not going to do it. Okay. I want to say I didn't do it when they were telling me I had to do it in the first place. So what makes you think I'm going to do it now? Like, none of so I would. One is definitely a bit more brash than the other, because I don't want to embarrass my wife as much as I embarrass her already. So how would
That's
you
how
react to
Maurice
it?
goes viral, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. I'm fighting somebody on Delta Airlines because they're trying to force a mask over my face, and I'm over here
Yeah.
throwing blows. And my Black Guns Matter and my taxation is death T-shirts or whatnot, giving libertarians a good name.
I almost want to stage this, honestly, because I can be a mask Karen. I really can. I make a very good mask Karen. What would I do? I honestly think that your first answer is very akin to what my response would be, which is, I'm sorry, I can't breathe safely wearing a mask, and that's it. You just short and sweet.
Yep.
Short and sweet, because I have had to deal many times with like having people ask, but back before I flew exclusively Southwest, and would try to get extra legroom and things. I would have people trying to switch seats with me so that they could, and I really like having the extra legroom. Like now I just sit in the front row because you have that
Right.
extra room, and I am a person made of limbs, so it's really uncomfortable for me to be flying cross country just with packed in like a little sardine.
Yes.
So I had to learn to get assertive with, in a nice way, but to be assertive with people who would ask to change seats that I had paid extra for. And so I'll whip out that practice, I suppose, now again. But you reminded me, or I reminded myself when I was talking about Southwest, I don't want anyone to forget the airlines and the experiences that they had with airlines that were just insane. And I don't mean we're following orders, although I have my own feelings about that, but I mean that were actively insane and went above and beyond. If anyone has those horror stories about people who would like tell them to chew faster or walk up and down the aisle saying pull it up, and I never did, because I heard very early on that Southwest was being extremely lax with its masking policy, to the point that I saw attendants wearing mesh masks, and I was like, I can see your mouth through that. You're my new friend. And let's party. And
exactly.
And free alcohol. It's fantastic. Got a lot of free alcohol on those Southwest flights. It was wonderful. And they're also much cheaper. You can't find them on Expedia and Travelodge. This podcast is not brought to you by Southwest, but it sure as heck could be.
Definitely not.
You can't find the prices on Expedia Travelodge. You got to go directly to the source, go to the Southwest, and you get your 2 free bags, your 2 free check bags. The only downside is that you don't have a TV in front of you, which you got a tablet, bro. You got a tablet. It's fine.
Exactly.
I mean, what do you what do you need the little headphone plug in the seat for, really?
Exactly.
So Southwest, thank you for just being saint-like with everything all throughout this. We knew that it was crap together, and we soldiered through it together, and we toasted our mesh masks together, because I know you saw mine. And I saw yours. So
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Never forget.
I typically fly Southwest, and this is how I know they don't care. So every time I fly, and during all of this COVID thing, when we went to Mexico and Florida and all these places, I would always have, it's this blue, it's got the Gaston flag on it, so it's got the snake, and it says, instead of saying "Don't tread on me," it's blue, it's bright blue, so you have to read it. It says, and of course y'all know I don't cuss, but it says my mask cusses, and it says "F around and find out." Like, it is pure gold. And then on top of that, because typically planes are typically colder, I'm typically wearing a hoodie. And of course, sponsored by Maj Toure, it says all gun control is racist. Like, everywhere I go. So I'm a walking billboard for anti-government, anything that we do. Like, I am not going to cooperate with anything that you tell me to do. Like, it's hilarious. And my wife, of course, I embarrass her everywhere we go, but she's just like, oh my gosh, I can't. And then top it all off, on my way back from Florida, I didn't realize that I had it on, but my grandmother stopped me because
Oh dear.
we were, and she goes, "Hey, grandson," blah, blah, blah. And we got to talking, and she's just like, she's looking at me weird. I was like, "Why is she looking at me weird?" And I realized, oh, the hoodie that I have on and the mask that I had dangling from my ear. I was like, oh, grandma, because my grandma would not approve of my
No.
political standings. My grandma would not approve of the things that I talk about on this podcast.
Oh
My
gosh.
grandma wouldn't approve of how I view the public education system. But yeah, but it was hilarious. It was hilarious. And I'm walking back. I was like, oh, she knows that I'm crazy, which is fine. It is all great. But again, I'm walking billboard for all of that stuff. And the only thing that I'm heard about is my next flight. I was going to have one of those with a mask that's like looks just like my face. And so when you put it on, it looks like your mouth is open and you don't have a mask on. I was like, that was going to be my next mask purchase.
Your new trick.
Just to rub people the wrong way everywhere I went to have it. But now, it'll save me $20. So I'm all good there.
Here we go. It works. It works. Hey, speaking of saving $20, would you pay? Now I'll do the transition because it was perfect, and you queued it up for me. Would you pay $5.99 for CNN Plus, Maurice? Would you do that?
I probably feel like most Americans on this one, which is a rarity.
I wanted to announce today that we are, in fact, now Civil Discord Plus. And we're Civil Discord Plus. This is your on-demand Civil Discord podcast. Anytime you want to listen to it, you can. You just press the play button on your favorite podcasting app, which oddly is easier. That is an easier ease of use proposition than what CNN Plus had people do, which I only just learned this from the Wall Street Journal. Great reporting, great report on the downfall of CNN Plus. You couldn't even get CNN Plus on the App Store. You had to already be subscribed to CNN and then go to CNN. And I'm like, there's no polka dot for this. You go to CNN and then download the CNN Plus app and subscribe to it there. Okay, this is what happens. This is exactly what happens when you're an ossified institution. This entire debacle is a case study in why institutions die and how they die. Is because there was, everyone who's going to use CNN Plus is already using CNN, and we don't need to integrate our apps with other servers and other streaming services. So there was no seamless integration where you can just go to the App Store, you can just go to Google Play and get CNN Plus. No, you have to use their platform and do their thing. And the only people who get away with this are Apple, and that's because they provide a clearly superior product. And if there were, for 1 second, if there were a better tech company and a better tech product company than Apple, I would use them. Apple can get away with this. CNN cannot. And CNN knew that it could not. I also think they missed the ball on the plus. I think, it's the plus absent the LGBTQAI2. And so I think that the plus was overrepresented and the others were not represented. You got to have the right letters before the plus. And CNN isn't part of that brigade. CNN's problem, for those who don't know, they tried to roll out this streaming service called CNN Plus. And one of the big issues right away was that they couldn't put breaking content on CNN Plus. Why? Because they have contracts with their owners that basically say you can only put a certain type of content on, or rather, you have this platform that we own, and you have to have content on breaking news, which is exclusive to this platform. So you already see, again, a great case study in the octopus and the Cthulhuid monster of bureaucracy, messing all this up and keeping you from delivering seamless on-demand content that your users really want. People weren't watching CNN. I'm getting ahead of myself now, but people weren't watching CNN for lifestyle advice. They were watching
No,
CNN for breaking news. And that's
exactly.
why CNN's viewership was so variable depending on the breaking news of the day. If you look at the numbers, you'll see this in a way that Fox wasn't. So CNN's viewers aren't fans the way that you need to have fans of a given streaming service. That someone watches Fox is always going to watch Fox. Someone who
Exactly.
watches CNN, they might watch CNN when there's a war breaking out. They're not going to watch
Right.
CNN maybe for election coverage. They're not going to watch
Exactly.
CNN just to see what's breaking. And so what they
Right.
ended up doing was they had these, they thought that they could maximize on the streaming economy as a network. But what powers the streaming economy are individuals. And there was
Yes.
no one there that was going to pull everyone in. And this is, again, it's an example of of how ossified institutions just don't understand the latest trends, and the tide turns toward decentralization in
Right.
spite of various power classes trying to cling to their relevance.
Right.
And this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't get it.
It's this is one of those things of when they announced they were shutting it down, it was of no surprise to me. Mainly because of I want to say, so they officially launched it in the beginning of April.
I think it
it
was March 30th was their first launch
Yeah,
day.
so March 30th.
I could be
right?
wrong. Yeah.
So 2 weeks after their launch date, roughly April 12th, April 13th, reports came out that they only had 10,000 users on a daily basis. I want to say, let me make sure that I'm reading that out. Yes. No, fewer than 10,000. Fewer than 10,000 people are using CNN Plus on a daily basis 2 weeks into its existence. Yes. Now, some of us in if this was Civil Discord podcast and we're doing Civil Discord podcast plus, Civil Discord plus, however we want to launch that, and we're doing a little fewer than 10,000, that's big for us.
That's us.
It's huge. That's us.
Yeah.
We're not CNN. And to put that into perspective, the article that I got this from, put it into view, and put things into context. Disney Plus, on its first day of existence. Now, mind you, if any of you guys went to Disney Plus, and we'll talk a little bit about Disney here in a minute, but if any of you guys would use Disney Plus on the first day and download a lot of stuff, you realize in the first 2 weeks there were a bunch of bugs, and it was very overloaded. Why? Because there were millions of people trying to use the app at once. 10 million people on its first day, 10 million subscribers on its first day. Then we look at so now I want to say so it says Disney's ESPN Plus is 21.3 million subscribers. Okay, 10,000 for CNN Plus, Disney and ESPN Plus 21.3. Peacock, the one that everybody hated because this is what was taking The Office off of Netflix and all of these things. Peacock, 24.5 million active accounts in the US. Okay. 9 million of them are paid members and so forth. And all of these, both of these, one charges a little bit more than CNN Plus, one charges a little bit less than CNN Plus. Like, so this was 2 weeks after your launch and you're putting up these abysmal numbers. You already know that this ain't going to last. And I know that there were a couple of articles going out there talking about how this is because of white supremacy and people are racist. And
did that happen already? Did that happen
yeah,
already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this was and we knew they were going to find some way to blame this on that. But
how many white people are on?
This was a few
Isn't
ago.
That like all white
That's
people? Except they did put on Eva Longoria, and they have Don Lemon.
Yes.
Don Lemon, as I like to call him. I always wanted to be Don Lemon, and he's not.
They also had Stephen A. Smith on there for a little bit, he's a horrible sportscaster.
Okay.
I mean, he has horrible takes, but yeah, I mean, he's a black man that's on there too. But yeah, they were trying to find some way to blame it. It's right wing propaganda. So they're trying to blame it on all this other kind of stuff instead of owning up and saying this is a horrible way to launch a product and we don't know what we're doing.
Granted, I don't know what their demos are. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they must have focus grouped this to high heaven. They gave Anderson Cooper a parenting advice show. Is that Anderson Cooper's audience? Is that our parents tuning into it? Because I would understand. I'd understand if you could show me the numbers and be like, yeah, we have a bunch of like suburban housewives who are watching Anderson Cooper, and which I might be true, right? But as opposed to whomever else, like, are the numbers of people of suburban housewives who are watching Anderson Cooper big enough for him to dominate the market on that, or even get a share?
Suburban Housewives will watch Anderson Cooper for fashion experience, or fashion advice. Like, oh, he's a well-dressed man.
He's very well dressed.
People will watch him for that, not for parenting advice.
I would like to look like Anderson Cooper when I get older.
Right.
I would love to just age into Anderson Cooper.
Exactly.
I'm not sure when I think Anderson Cooper, I do not think parenting tips.
No, not at all. I don't either. I don't either.
It's extremely odd to me.
I don't think of any person who I watch on TV. I don't look for parenting tips. Like, I just, and maybe this is just me. I don't know. And I know I am in the minority of minorities. Like, I get that. Okay. But, and I know I use that because I am in the minority of Black people, and the minority of Black people as in fiscally conservative, and minority means I'm an ANCAP. So I use that in the right sense. But I cannot think of anybody who looks to news anchors or anybody in that specific sphere for parenting advice. Like, I wouldn't even look to HGTV for parenting advice. I'll probably look to maybe some books or people within my local community who I can talk to on a regular basis for parenting advice. Not somebody not some Hollywood elite who is removed from reality. Like, I just, that just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, if you're going to go through this, stick to what you know. You know fake news, so just stick to fake news.
Honestly, and this is one of those things where I really want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I really would just want to say, well, you knew what your numbers were, you knew who your viewers were. But this seems to me like what I've called before the Thomas Binger phenomenon, where you think everyone is Twitter. Thomas Binger, who was the prosecutor in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, thought that the jury was Twitter. And so he talked to Twitter. You know, your students are not Twitter. Your audience is not Twitter. Your readers are not Twitter. Your jury is not Twitter. Your neighbors are not Twitter. Almost no one is on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Am I normal? No. Okay, almost no one is on Twitter. I'm a PhD student who lives in Los Angeles. I have a faux hawk. You're not talking to me. You shouldn't be trying to talk to me. Okay? We're not normal people. So this is what is so, and again, I have difficulty with this because I feel like everyone's on Twitter, because when I look at Twitter, people are saying the things that I hear my academic friends saying. And so I'm like, oh, my bubble, this confirms my bubble, because everyone in my life actually does care about this crap on Twitter. But it's because I've self-isolated to such a degree. And I'm not surrounded by libertarians by any stretch of the imagination, but I've self-urbanized to such a degree that that's the circle. That's not how most people are, and that's not saying that most people are stupid. In fact, it's saying that most people have a diverse range of opinions and are able to encounter contrary ideas. But when you think that enough of America is Twitter, such that people are going to watch a Don Lemon streaming show, I can't help you. And this brings me to the question I wrote in the show notes site, because there is a trend, right, for decentralized on-demand services. And I'm wondering what is next, because we did it with Uber, we did it with ride sharing. We did it, of course, we've got it now with television. We've got it to a degree with news, although my bag is that I continue to say that if independent streamers really want to corner the market, they need to do more international coverage, because that's still where networks dominate. What is next? And they have the funds for that, of course. Yeah, exactly. And they have the connections. But what's the next industry to go the way of decentralized on-demand services?
I don't know. That's a very good question, because if I could figure that out, I would definitely get rich
Yeah.
really quick.
I think
I
you're in
don't
a
know.
good
We have to
spot.
ask Elon about that one. Yeah, that's a good question. I
I
have to
think you're in a
think
good
about
spot to
that
do
one.
it because I think it's academia. I really do. I
Huh.
genuinely think it's academia. There are kinks that need to be worked out, but
Yes.
if you can have on demand subject tutoring, and if you can have on demand just lectures and courses, which great courses slash now it's Wondrium pretty much
Hmm.
does, but I feel like an actual curriculum. So
Mm.
Wondrium does lectures and stuff,
Right.
seminars, curricula, one-on-one, back and forth. I mean, I feel like that first goes the way of ride sharing before it goes to sort of streaming, because ride sharing is
Right.
more direct to the consumer, which
Right.
is what you want if you want a university type experience. But I really think it's academia. I think academia is the next thing. And that's why I joke, but I don't joke about putting Machiavelli lectures on YouTube, because I'm like, I wonder what would happen. Um, but I do. I think it's academia, and I think for you that looks awesome because you're giving financial advice, you're giving kind of
Mhm.
wealth empowerment advice.
Right. And that has been things that I've started, that I've done even on my side gig, is I'm like, oh, like I can do this and do this and this, and I think it'll really ramp up over the summer, because I'll have a year under my belt as far as teaching and knowing what works and what doesn't, and things of that nature. But yeah, but I could see that, because now we already have, because you have companies like Skillshare, who
Mm-hmm.
they are, it's not necessarily, it's not academia, but it is you teaching somebody something, as far as as far as you putting content on there, and there is a bit of, hey, you can access your coach in that specific manner, and I know other libertarians who have done things that are more so on the business side, is like, hey, we're going to teach you how to start your own business, we're going to teach you how to make some passive income here and there, that it once all that gets worked out, it could easily make a transition into, hey, you know, you're homeschooling, which we will, I feel like in the years to come we will see a lot more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we see a decentralized education system, this could pop up real quick,
Yeah.
of, hey, you know what, let me pay for my education the same way I pay for my streaming services.
Yeah.
I could, and then you get to a certain level, like, okay, this isn't good enough anymore, I drop this streaming service and I move over to somebody else, and now they are producing something that of content that I need. I mean, because like you said, we do it now. I mean, I've got I've got Hulu, I've got Netflix, I've got Apple Music and Spotify, um, Disney Plus, there's Apple TV, all of which that, and not to mention my cable. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all and tell you that I pay for every single one of those, because I don't. But I pay for majority of those. Like I do pay for my YouTube TV and my Apple TV and my Spotify and Apple Music, mainly because a lot of my Apple TV and Apple Music are on one family plan that I have with me and my wife, and for these things. And so then you could see, hey, if I have my math on demand, and then I can partner with somebody who has English on demand, somebody who has history, or somebody who has international studies or whatnot, and then, like you said, we all combine, create our own little platform of, hey, you can bundle us all up into this, and here we go. Now all of a sudden you have everything that you need to teach your children, as far as how to do 2 plus 2, how to be financially stable, and then how to do all these other things literally at the push of a button. And here you go. I mean, it's that is very interesting concept, and I need to figure out how to monetize my ability to teach students, for sure,
Please,
because
please, yeah.
I'm going to.
Try to monetize it, because school choice homeschooling, there needs to be an Uberification, which would
Yes.
not take the place of private schools or anything like that, or charter
No.
schools or anything like that, but particularly with homeschooling, that I feel like that is a perfect industry to give a ride share type of structure to that,
Yes.
in a way that is vetted, and in a way that is, again, on demand, particular to the user. When it comes to higher ed, again, time is right because people are very upset about the way that most universities behave during the past 2 years. They are very upset with student loans and the student loan crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to need to you're not going to need to file a FAFSA which is not a dirty word, even though it really sounds like, I feel like FAFSA is a dirty word, quite frankly.
I thought it was for a long time.
Yeah, you're not going to need to file a FAFSA to get a seminar type of experience on, in a streaming capacity, in an on-demand streaming capacity. And we have the tech to do that now. And we also, I think, you can make this in person. I want to see this work. I want to see an Elon Musk type of mind, or someone who is better at thinking about monetization than I am, come and help develop this, because I get really excited about it. I'd like to do it. Teaching, I don't know, teaching Machiavelli, teaching political theory, teaching other random things too, like game theory and crap. I have an arsenal of subjects that I know. Yeah, no game theory's red. Yeah.
And then to think about it, I mean, you were just sparking all kinds of interest. Like as far as we're talking through this, how would you change universities? Like now, instead of me having to, yes, and fairly more to the point to where you would it would force a lot of big universities to lower your tuition cost so they're not as inflated and granted, they are inflated for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, can you imagine like, oh, hey, I've got this on demand for my calculus class or for my accounting, for my intermediate accounting 1 course. I've got this guy who can literally teach it for a fraction of the price that I'm paying here, and then give me some level of certification, and maybe intermediate accounting is probably not the best example because you need to sit for the CPA, you need all kinds of things and so forth. But if you could have if universities literally took it upon themselves of like, hey, you know what, we have dropped enrollment because kids do not want to come to campus. Okay, so if they don't want to come to campus,
or kids do, and we didn't let them, but go on.
Exactly. Right. But if kids aren't coming to campus, then how can we get our enrollment numbers up and still provide them a way to learn? What if we did this and you did this and we gave you everything within this app? You're able to function within the specific class and maneuver in that specific arena. And we give you not necessarily full credit for the course or whatnot, but we give you some level of like, hey, this is for this. So we win because we have enrollment. You are still paying the university for this or whatnot. And then you win because you're being educated because you are receiving the paper that you need in order to show that you have mastered whatever level that you have in order to go into accounting or into teaching or into in any of those other facets in which I would say, yes, go to college, because you can't, in order to get a job in this field, you have to go to college. And I mean, I think that's very interesting to kind of talk out and discuss and be like, okay, what's the best way to go about it? Because I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I think that you're right. Like academia is going to be the next one to move into this on-demand space.
But I don't think universities do it. I actually don't. I think we did have that during the past 2 years, and it was miserable. And we have DeVry, we do have University of Phoenix. I don't see universities integrating with this. I see universities competing with this, and that's exactly what I want. I see universities saying, okay, well, we can offer something that this can't. And maybe it's a piece of paper, but for whom is that piece of paper valuable? If you're talking about credentialism, it's a very small portion of the population
For sure.
that cares about credentialing. And the rest just kind of have an intellectual thirst and care about the skills themselves, and
Right.
maybe aren't trying to go into teaching and don't care about getting a PhD so they can go and teach others at the same time. The job market in academia is so intense and so competitive that this then opens up new opportunities for people who are academics and love learning and love teaching. That this is, it's one of those things that I get excited about. And I think it helps resolve a lot of issues. But this is also for people who are academics, which is zero of our audience except for me. But if you're an academic, you know that if you have a great idea and you want to write a paper, it takes ages to get that paper published, because first of all, you got to submit it, and then you got to make it past the desk reject, which a lot of times desk rejects happen for a reason, gang. I know. But you got to make it past the desk reject, and then you wait for the editing and the peer review and all that. Again, the gatekeeping has a necessary function, but it makes it so that you can't really ever put out new content if you're in a university, because your ideas are 2 years old by the time anyone reads about them. If you can streamline that and you can have people engaging and scholars engaging back and forth, well, I don't agree with this, because in real time, in a way that isn't closed off to other people, and in a way that doesn't demand so much gatekeeping, then you also have more intellectual discourse, and it's brought to people. It's brought to human beings that maybe didn't pay a buttload to get into a university, which I think is threatening in some respects to academics. But I think it's rad, because I know a lot of smart people who aren't in universities and who are very curious. Yeah.
That if it goes that route, Amanda, you are a genius. And I do believe that you are.
Of podcasts. Joe Rogan of academics.
I do believe you are. I do
Appreciate
believe
you.
that. I do believe that for sure. I'm trying to think if we have enough time to talk about it. Libs of TikTok being doxxed, Republican hypocrisy in the Supreme Court.
I think we should probably cover the libs of TikDoxxed.
Libs of TikTok.
Libs
all right,
of
give me 1 second. I got to get these animals out of this room.
All right, well, I can
Amanda,
just
if you want to go ahead,
tell everyone.
Go ahead, get up in there.
All right, so there is a woman named Taylor Lorenz. She's either in her late 30s or early 40s. I think she's 43. No, to her credit, looks young. I mean, she could pass for a kind of aged late 20s. She looks very young, but also behaves in a very immature way. Basically, Lorenz's beat is doxing people, which is odd. So what she does is she sort of like finds people that she thinks are behaving badly online and writes stories about them. And apparently she did this at one point, and a bunch of people got mad at her for writing stories about people behaving badly online. And then she came out as the victim and said that she was cyber bullied. And she did something that is particularly offensive to me, which is that she pretended to cry, and she didn't do it well. So I'm an actress. And so, no. So here's how you tell a really easy way to tell the difference between real crying and fake crying. Real crying happens all at once. You don't, so there's like a quivering voice, there's kind of a squint, there's a break in there's a quivering lip, and then the tears come. With fake crying, you, like your voice starts to shake first. And then you make your lip that's what it is. That's fake crying. So that's kind of how you're able to tell the difference. But she takes dictation from Media Matters. She wrote the story that was put in her lap, that fell into her lap from Media Matters. She really didn't do her own sleuthing here from what we are told. there's an account that I don't go to. You might go to it, Maurice, called Libs of TikTok, which is basically
I don't go to it. I don't.
okay. It's a Twitter account, as
It
I
is good
recall,
though.
but it's this person who just shares TikTok posts from people who do weird things, and generally, like, they're radical leftists. And so there's not really any editorializing. There's not really any commentary on it. It's look at
Right.
this. I mean, here's crazy stuff on TikTok. Would you like to see it? Because
Exactly.
you're not here. Here's crazy things on TikTok. So there's no fakery. It's just someone showing someone else's videos. It's like a retweet, but it's from TikTok.
Right.
Apparently, this is violence, and it's terrible, and it's abusive to people to show others their own content. Which, by the way, please promote my content that I put out publicly.
Yes.
Okay,
100%.
please share this. Okay,
Yep.
that's what's happening, and people
I
are
want
saying,
y'all
"Oh,
screenshotting and putting
right."
it everywhere. Yes.
People and people were looking at these TikTok things and saying, "Well, that looks ridiculous," and apparently the woman who runs Libs of TikTok, who was formerly anonymous, Taylor Lorenz, was told by Media Matters who this woman was. She wrote a story, initially published her work address and I think her home address, and went and found her family. And then it's the Washington Post, right? Who was, the Washington Post.
Yes.
Yeah. Took down that information, but of course left the story up. And this is a whole big thing. People are saying, well, this was shoe leather journalism. It's really not. It's bootlicker journalism. Like, you got the 100%. Shoe in there. But this is really gross, especially because there was nothing that this woman was doing, that the Libs of TikTok woman was doing, that was evil or even doxing someone. You're sharing their content. And I don't even like Libs of TikTok because I think it's outrage porn. So I actually think I don't approve of it, but I agree with it existing. And I think that what happened here was absolutely insane, and was the pot calling the kettle a basic white woman, which honestly, Taylor Lorenz she's like Uggs and leggings and pumpkin spice frappuccino all year long. That is the vibe. From this woman, but please go forward. What were your thoughts?
No, I just like I remember her breaking down, quote unquote, breaking down on TV, discussing how horrible she had felt. People were just so mean and just, oh my gosh, woe is me type mentality. And of course, I'm like, isn't this the same girl who is always, like, in essence, doxing other people? It is literally when somebody turns the roles on you and is doing to you what you normally do to somebody else, you play a victim. And you see this happen. It is narcissistic mentality. It is 100% what people claim that everybody else is doing, but let me make sure that it's 100% what narcissist people do when they want to be looked at and not vilified. Don't vilify me. No, because my life is horrible. They're doing this to me. And oh my gosh, life sucks. Man. And then you turn around and you do the same exact thing again. And you want people to have sympathy. And like you said, like, it's not like this person is creating stuff themselves and piecing things together.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're talking about the Libs of TikTok woman now.
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's not like Libs of TikTok is taking all of this content and then chopping it up and editing it to a specific way. It is literally just going from TikTok to Twitter. Like, it is all public stuff that it's not like they're from private pages, because TikTok doesn't have private pages. Everything's your For You page. If it pops up on your For You page, it's public. Like, it's the same thing. So that is literally like,
it's shoe leather journalism. Yeah,
literally. It is. No. That's like me saying, that is me taking our Civil Discord Twitter account and then going to my TikTok and just posting what's on my TikTok to Twitter. It's only because you're making fun of somebody. Oh, it's so bad. And it makes me think like, okay, if it's that bad, why don't you go to TikTok and take all of them down? Like, if it's that bad and that heinous that you feel like you have to pull out all this information, the same person who has that TikTok account, you better be lighting them up too. But you don't. Why? Because you don't really care. It is not that big of an issue. And granted, I agree with you. I don't like watching things like that. Like that's not fun to me. Mainly because I'm like, I can do it on both sides.
Yeah,
I can literally sit here and talk about how I can do conservatives of TikTok and do the same exact thing. Like,
oh my gosh,
I
cons of TikTok.
100%
Can we please do a cons of TikTok? Because I would love. But anyway,
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Trust me, because I in the comments, I got into it this weekend with somebody, and I'm pretty sure hell froze over because I literally laid out in about 4 different comments, and I numbered them, and the guy responded with, "I agree with everything that you just said," and I was just like, and I didn't even know how to respond to that, like, and it wasn't like a sarcastic response. It was like it was like he was being serious, and I was just like, I think hell just froze over because I'm pretty sure this is somebody who discusses and has a desire for universal health care. And I just laid some stuff out. And he told me that he agreed with everything that I just typed out. And I was just like, I don't know, maybe I'm sick, but I'm all for it because I talk about people on the left in the TikTok comments, and I talk about people on the right in TikTok comments and whatnot. So my next TikTok handle will definitely be conservatives or cons of TikTok, and we're going to make fun of everybody, even the Floridians, the Ron DeSantises of the world, all those Republicans who are down there in Florida causing in an uproar because you don't agree with them. And I will say this, okay, because I know a lot of times libertarians, people tend to think that libertarians are just Republicans or whatnot, which could not be further from the truth. But a lot of times libertarians rag on the left more than they rag on the right. And honestly, it's because the left is crazier than the right. For on a lot of the major world issues that libertarians can't stand, like private property rights and things of that nature. So that's the main reason why. But these people on the right are nuts.
they are.
Like, they are absolutely 100% nuts. So we Libs of TikTok, y'all can, let's be ready for cons of TikTok. And you know what? I will handle the TikTok account. Amanda will handle the Twitter account.
Yeah. And then I'll get doxxed
under my name. It'll be under my name, and we'll just say it's all me. I mean, because my stuff is public information anyway, because I'm a teacher. So it is what it is.
Who is the Taylor Lorenz of the Red? Is it Sohrab Ahmari? Can it please be Sohrab Ahmari? Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts about Sohrab Ahmari.
I don't know.
It probably isn't, because
yeah.
I'll have to think who it is. Is it Tucker?
Right.
He's not
yeah. Tucker be talking about everybody, so I wouldn't say him.
I want it to be Sohrab Ahmari, but it's not.
You know, it'd probably have to be somebody who's with the Daily Wire. I'm going down now. There are a few people who work at the Daily Wire.
I'm trying to be nice to Ben Shapiro lately.
No. It could be Ben Shapiro. It could be Michael Knowles. It could be, oh man, what is
Andrew
that dude's
Klavan.
name?
Andrew Klavan.
No, it's
Jeremy
not. It's
Boring.
the dude. He's got the beard.
Stephen Crowder.
He was on Dr. Phil earlier.
Oh, that's Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh.
Yes,
not Matt Welch. Matt Welch is an awesome person. Matt Walsh is interesting.
Yes, I would probably say it's Matt Walsh. Like that, he would have my vote. He would have my vote.
Yeah, he seems more like a kind of doxer kind of guy. I wanted to get out a final point about fake crying that I realized. So another tell if the lip quivering thing is. Well, here's another. When you're really crying, a lot of times the head goes back. The head kind of goes back. I'm serious. Because you're kind of trying to hold it together, and then the tears go back a little bit. And that's usually when you get the catch, and then that's when the tears are happening. When you're fake crying, the head goes forward. Because a lot of times, because you want to hide the fact that you're not actually crying, but when you're fake crying, it goes forward. And that's usually not the way that real crying proceeds. When real crying proceeds, kind of there's like a head going back. So, yeah. We're doing like a little visual demonstration. Yeah.
Exactly. If you are not watching, we were just going through how I cry, and because I've been crying here recently, so I've been like, oh yes, I do.
Yeah.
Throw my head back.
You do. It goes back. Yeah.
Yes. So Amanda, the actor, giving us acting advice. Okay. So if you're going to fake cry, you need to make sure that your head goes back.
And it's all got to happen at once, which is really hard. It's just
like head goes back, tears are already coming out, you're sniffling, like that is just like how it works kind of thing. So actually, no, I will say, like, I have been crying a lot here recently. So I mean, they've been tears of joy because we've been going to the doctor, and I've just been seeing my child.
Yay!
Like I mean, you just like, and I know we're about to get off on a tangent here or whatnot about crying, but can I just say that the process of a child growing in a human body is miraculous.
Yeah.
Like, it is a beautiful thing to go from the size of like a pea to a blueberry. And it's just, and like, there are apps that literally tell you what the size of the baby is. And it's like, now it's the size of a mango. And
why
then
is it always food?
You see it.
It's a little strange.
No, yeah, I guess.
Sorry,
maybe because
no, you're fine. And this is awesome.
It's always because you're right, because it was always like an orange or whatnot, and it's always, and I'm assuming because people, you can the size of a blueberry. I'm assuming, I guess. I don't know, but it is just so beautiful. And then you go and you see, and then like because we just had an ultrasound on Friday, and like you're in there. And you just see the baby, and like the hand moves to the face, and then it moves down, and then the legs are like moving. You're just like, oh my gosh! Like, there is literally a human being growing in there, and we have the technology to look at it. Like, it is so great. I mean, it is phenomenal. It really is a great thing. So that is what's been causing a lot of my tears here recently. So we're it has been a beautiful thing. The process of life is so beautiful. It is so miraculous. And it is, I think if I were an atheist and I would walk through this process, I'd probably have to question whether or not I believe that all this stuff is by chance. Because it is just so beautiful. It really is. And I promise you guys, I'm not about going no tangent about God and beliefs and things of that nature, but it is a beautiful thing. And then and like, you just, they're like, they're just baby just like moving around and kicking, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And it's just like, well, the baby's taken after the mother because they're stubborn, or like, hey, look, it's taken after the father because look, they got a big nose and dad's got a big nose. So you're just like, yep, that's it right there. Like, here we go.
The baby's fake crying. The baby's taken after Amanda.
Hey, yep. Fake crying, the head went forward instead of going back. Like,
that's a racket.
It is all good. Well, we don't have time to discuss some Republican hypocrisy.
We definitely put it in, though. I just want everyone to know. We were ragging on the libs today, and we definitely have Republican hypocrisy that we didn't get to. So next time we meet.
We don't, but we will touch on it for sure. Because again, we're fair and equal, even though even though a lot of people say that that the left and the right are two sides to the same plane. I don't agree with that, because I think one side is definitely crazier than the other and wants more things than the other. But I will say this: next time we do an episode, we are ragging on some Republicans. I don't know if you call them conservative Republicans, things of that nature. And we're going to talk about exactly whatever. And we're going to talk about my favorite thing, which is taxes and things that you feel like you should be, you're supposed to be being paid into, but you're not, because, it is what it is. Because again, they're taking your money has been long spent. But anyway, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Civil Discord. Again, your weekly dose of radical curiosity. Please, please, please share this show with a friend, a family member, a loved one, somebody who loves Libs of TikTok and somebody who hates Libs of TikTok. Share it with all them. Somebody who is probably upset that the airline mask mandate has been lifted and has been double and triple masking with their goggles and their hats, protecting themselves and their face shields. And then share it with somebody who's excited that this mandate has been lifted. Do all of that. I promise you. Leave us and we'll be back again. But leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Please, 5 stars if you think we are worth it. And I assure you, we are worth every single bit of those 5 stars. 5 stars and nothing less is what we expect. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Twitter at Civil Discord Pod, and then you can follow Amanda on Twitter as well at Ajax. Sorry, my Ajax the Griff. Sorry for my clicking. Follow me on Instagram. Call me Maurice. That we have some fun, exciting things that are going to be announced. They're here pretty soon. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, we do live videos every single week. Sorry, we film live, but you guys will see.
We're always filming live.
We're not live. Yes. We're always filming live. Sorry. We record ourselves and then you can watch us talk at a later date.
We should do a live stream on YouTube. Point, though. We should do a live stream soon.
We will.
Yeah.
As we move, because I'm moving. So I will have better internet. So live streaming will be far better when I have better internet. And I'm not fighting with the new waves and stuff, which means I need to cancel this new wave, which is going to be great. So do all of that. Follow us on all forms of social media. Follow us wherever you catch your podcatcher. Follow us in all things. And if you do all that, I promise you, we will be back again with another episode of Civil Discord. Until then, y'all be easy
and stay fierce.